Well, that was terrible. Conor McGregor breaks his leg at the end of the first round. Jesus Christ, why are we living through this timeline? So yeah, that's how the UFC 264 ended. I have my first guest on the show, Rajiv. As you seen, say what's up.
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Honored to be on it. Honored to be a first guest.
Yeah, I wish we were meeting under better circumstances because I think both of us feel the same way right about now. We
Yeah,
absolutely just distraught.
yeah.
Yeah, so before we even get into the full Conor McGregor thing, I just run through the rest of the card real quick. Sean O'Malley beats who did he beat? The Matinho guy.
Yeah, Chris Martinho.
Yeah, but Matinho has one hell of a chin on him, dog. Like big man thing. He was eating shots. The last time I checked, Sean O'Malley had like 230 shots landed, and
Yeah,
Matinho was just eating everything and still walking forward, dog. So yeah, fair play to him on that. What was the next fight
you
on the
know,
card? Oh yeah, good, good.
uh, no, I was gonna say that fight reminded me of the Calvin Keita versus Max Holloway earlier this year,
Yeah, that was like the first big
where
fight of the year.
where Max was just pouring it on Keita, and
Yeah,
he was just walking forward and swinging. But yeah,
yeah. That's
very very similar.
that's mad, that's mad. But Sean O'Malley did make some call outs at the end of the fight. He called out, I know he called out Peter Yan and somebody else.
Follow Peter Yan, Rob Font, and Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, he
So
said
yeah,
so. Yeah, he said something like Cody Garbrandt. He went off fight since 2015 or some
yeah,
wild stuff like that. Next we had
yeah.
the women's fight. Aldana, She came out victorious on her fight after she beat the Russian girl with name I can't pronounce. But you know what I'm talking about?
It's Yana Kunitskaya. Yeah.
Yeah, jeez, yeah. So what do you think about our fight?
I think Yana was mixing up her shots well, but she ended up getting clipped, and then that ground and pound, and
Yeah, just ended it.
that ended the fight. And she
Yeah,
got clipped with a
I left
left
hook.
hook, and
Yeah,
it was all over from there.
yeah. Well, that's that fight.
So
Yeah. The
mm,
heavyweight fight, Tai Tuivasa and Greg Hardy, who was a ex
yeah,
NFL player which I didn't even know about until I saw they were talking about it while he was making his ring entrance. But he got slapped like what, a minute into the fight?
I think it was like a minute and maybe 15, 20 seconds of being generous.
Yeah, dog.
He
It
got
was
clipped.
really.
I mean, I think we have a star in the making in Ty Tuivasa. I
Yeah,
mean, his personality is so marketable,
yeah.
compared to other heavyweights.
Because after the fight, he jumped on top of the cage and he got a bear on a shoe and he threw out all the bear onto the shoe and just shotgun the whole thing. And he's doing
I
that.
think that,
Yeah, he's doing that.
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, and he
Sorry,
was doing that. Going down into the locker room.
yo,
Yeah, so, you know.
what happened there? Oh, no, I thought you were talking and your mic just cut, but like, yeah, I saw he was going through the crowd and just taking beers and shoes from random people. And, he have a very marketable personality. I think like that's the next star in the making for the heavyweight division in the UFC.
Yeah, I think
Um,
in his interview he called out like he said he wants somebody top 15 or something, like top 10.
isn't Greg Hardy ranked? I think Greg Hardy was ranked. I'm not sure.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think he was.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, fair play to him. He got a big KO, and I mean, he make use of his mic time.
yeah, that's all he could really do when you're a fighter. And
Hmm.
looking over to the co-main event, we had Gilbert Burns beating Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by I believe it was a majority decision, or unanimous decision. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he got the win there because Gilbert really controlled the wrestling. He really wasn't letting Steven, throw the bombs like we know he can with his lead leg when he's in southpaw. He did throw it a little bit, but he didn't really find too much success with it. And yeah, Gilbert just kept getting the takedowns. I think he got three in all. I think he got one in each round or something like that. And yeah, he just dominated him on the ground. He had some decent ground and pound coming to the end of the second round, I believe, where both of them were exchanging on the ground. But yeah, Gilbert just overall dominated Wonder Boy, and he did getting the win there.
yeah.
So yeah, good.
honestly, this fight, it was almost as depressing as the main event. Honestly, it was
Oh,
underwhelming to say the least.
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But before we wrap up this co-main event section, what would you think is next for Wonder Boy? Because he is getting kind of old now. He's 38. So what do you think is next for him? Because after losing a fight like this, some people might say he might drop out of title contention. So do you think he still has it in him to rally behind and get next, try to push for a next title shot, or you think he's kind of dusted?
Honestly, I think right now his best bet might be to I don't want to say retire, but like try to just do some fun fights because like I don't know who he could possibly beat in the top 10. Maybe like the top he could beat like 8, 9, and 10 because everyone above that is just young guns that will probably take his head off. Like there's people like Leon Edwards, Vincente Luque, Jorge Masvidal,
Jeez.
and I mean he's not gonna get near a title shot unless he comes on, fights 2 fights within quick successions of each other.
Yeah.
So
When you say fun fight, there's a certain guy in the welterweight division who will always make a fun fight. You know what I'm talking about?
that, yeah, I think I just named him
Yeah,
Jorge
Nate.
Masvidal.
Oh, I was actually talking about Nate Diaz. Um, but hey, Masvidal would be a good fight too. But the reason I didn't say Masvidal was because Blins actually called out Masvidal, and that's a fight I would like to see a lot more than a Wonderboy versus Masvidal.
I mean, I would like to see that fight, but I also think that would be underwhelming as well because Masvidal has a big advantage in the boxing, and like I think as soon as Gilbert gets clipped with a shot, he's just gonna shoot for a takedown, control him against the fence, control him on the ground,
Yeah, kind of.
not let Masvidal up on his feet, not keep the fight standing, that type of thing, like he did with this fight.
Yeah,
So
kind of like the Usman fight.
yeah, like the first Usman fight, yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, well, that was just like a quick little summary of all the events, all the fights on the main card. But now the unfortunate main event. Oh boy, Dustin Poirier
But
gets the win, but I mean, under the circumstances, some people would debate it's technically not a win, but it'll go down in the history books as a win. Unfortunately, as unfortunate as it is, because Conor unfortunately broke his leg coming out to the end of the fifth round. Yeah,
from first round, so,
yeah, let me hear what you say now, because I know you're a huge McGregor guy.
um, honestly, I was excited when I saw Conor come out with I don't want to say his traditional karate stance, but he was bouncing in and out. He came out with two spinning um two spinning back I can't remember the name of it, but two spinning kicks.
I think it's
He backed up
the
Dustin.
yeah,
You
heel
know,
kicks. Yeah.
he was kind of controlling distance, and somehow Dustin got like in the pocket and they had like a little boxing exchange. I think Dustin got hit with a shot, didn't like it immediately shot for a takedown,
Mm-hmm.
and that was honestly kind of the beginning of the end because I mean the fight stayed there on the ground up until what like 10 seconds into the final 10 seconds of the first round.
They got up like I want to say around like 15 20 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, and
but
then came the unfortunate part, but
yeah.
we'll get into that.
Yeah, but when Dustin went in for the takedown, McGregor did get a guillotine on him, and it did look to be locked in. It did look to be tight, and McGregor held him there for a while. But Dustin's wrestling it really shined because he was able to like get on top and slip his head out. So yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean, McGregor almost had him in the in the guillotine. I would like to look back on that fight and think McGregor almost had him.
I, I guess it depends on where you're looking back in that fight because if you're looking back at the first, I would say like minute and a half, yes, McGregor had it, but I think McGregor going for that guillotine was a mistake. If you're being honest, I think McGregor should have tried to back away, kind of like counter strike or defend the takedown at least, not go for a guillotine. Like I understand why he did it because the fight literally just started, and they're not sweaty, so it's not easy to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're fighting someone like Dustin Poirier with really really good wrestling, and like I think that's just playing into Dustin's advantage, because look how easy he got out of that guillotine.
And Connor went for
So,
it again as well later on in the round, if I remember, and Dustin was just able to slip his head out easily again.
yeah, and I think part of the reason for that was that ground and pound that Dustin was able to land while they were on the mat,
Mm-hmm.
because like it forced Connor to kind of think quickly and go for whatever he could go for to not to stop that fight from being called off, because let's be really, he couldn't really defend himself on the ground.
Yeah, and
But
but
oh
there's
yeah, I was just gonna add to it. Fair play to Connor. He was able to land some elbows and kind of back up Dustin, even though they were on the ground and Dustin was, winning that position. But I mean, what else? What else?
Yeah, because I was about to say, mention Connor's elbows too, because I remember at a certain point he did throw some and did look to at least want them to visibly hit and kind of, hurt Dustin a little bit, but in the end it just wasn't enough. When they got, when they stood up, because I think Dustin said he was trying to grab his glove or something, he just gave up and told her Dean about it, and that's when they stood up. I was like, okay, you know what? Throughout, there were points in that round where I was just like, okay, Connor's looking like he's just trying to survive this round from the ground and pound Dustin was giving him. So I was kind of glad when they stood back up initially, because I was like, okay, you know what? It's just 15 seconds. Connor's going to ride this out and hopefully going to come back out swinging hard again in round two. But then
Yeah,
initially, while I was watching it live, it looked like Dustin hit because they both went for, I think it was a left overhand, and they both kind of like ducked at the same time and slipped it. So it looked kind of cool. But as Connor went to step back, he everything kind of came together and it's like kind of squashed under his weight, and it looked really bad. I might throw the clip over this part of the video, but I don't know, it just looked really bad. But in the moment, I didn't realize he broke his leg. I just thought he just got dropped from a jab by Dustin, and he was just covering up trying to survive. I was like, shucks, I don't know if you're gonna be able to do it or if Bean might call it. And then as soon as the round finished, when I didn't see him get up, I was like, oh, something's bad.
yeah.
So what was
Honestly, one thing that we skipped over
yeah.
was when they were on the mat, Connor landed a up kick. I don't know if you caught that or not,
I
but
believe
Connor landed an up kick, and that made Dustin come back down and try to land some more. I don't know if it hit Dustin or if that was just his natural reaction, but that happened.
mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to point out that was like at least something that Connor could have done from being on his back.
Yeah, because what I think Conor was trying to do as well was I don't know if you could think back to the Khabib fight where where he was just kind of letting Khabib pound him and just kind of ground and pound him a little bit, and he was just absorbing the damage, hoping Khabib would gas in one of the later rounds and he'd be able to take advantage. I kind of was like, okay, maybe that's what he's trying to do with Dustin when he was just seemingly just letting Dustin just pound away at him on the ground. So I don't know if that was like probably something he was hoping for, and the leg break just happened, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So where does this leave the Notorious One now?
Honestly, I'm looking at the lightweight rankings right now, and Connor is ranked number 5.
Yeah.
I think he might. Honestly, I don't know if he might stay there, because I'm looking at Tony Ferguson is under him, Rafael dos Anjos, Dan Hooker, 3 people who haven't won in a while.
Yeah.
So I think he'll stay there, but I think this is still unfinished business. Whether you're a Poirier fan or a McGregor fan or you're just a fan of the sport, this is not how a trilogy is supposed to end, because nobody walked away from this fight
Satisfied.
being able to say, yeah,
Yeah.
being able to say, okay, I beat this person and
I'm the
I
better
won.
man. Yeah. Yeah, but like, so would this be a situation where we potentially get a fourth fight? I don't know if there's ever been like a fourth fight ever between two guys in the UFC, but I mean, McGregor does a lot of first. He's the first champ. So would he be the first person to have a fourth installment of a fight with somebody?
Honestly, Charles Oliveira, the lightweight champion, was in attendance, and
What did he say?
I believe they were asking, huh?
What did he say?
Honestly, I was so distraught over that the ending of this fight. I didn't even catch what he said.
Yeah,
but
I was scrolling through Twitter, and I just like remember I had the TV on in the background. I was like, I just remember his translator saying, nobody wants to see somebody lose this way. Da 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 da. Like that's all I really picked up on. But so yeah, I think Oliveira knows as well that this probably might happen again, and there were discussions of the winner of this fight potentially facing him for his lightweight championship and to make it his first defense. But so now that Dustin has, technically won, would you see Dustin going on to fight him in the near future, or potentially waiting until however long it takes McGregor to recover and come back for a fourth fight?
Okay, so honestly, I think Conor might sit out, I would say, for probably about a year. Right? So that leaves a lot of time for Dustin to fight Oliveira. And depending on who comes out on top, like if Oliveira comes out on top, Oliveira just moves on to the next contender. And if Dustin comes out on top, I think that leaves enough time for Oliveira to get like a win, come back and face him for the rematch. And well, if Dustin manages to retain the title, by the time Conor comes back, like what Conor wants, Conor gets in the UFC.
Yeah, so that's Dana's
that might honestly this sorry to cut you off, but like this result of this fight might actually favor Conor when he comes back, because if Dustin has the title, then Conor can come back and say, hey, you didn't beat me, I broke my ankle. This should have been a doctor stoppage, which I agree should have been a doctor stoppage.
I think they gave it. I think they gave it. I think when sorry to cut you off as well there, but then when they announced it, didn't they say it was due to a doctor stoppage?
No. They said TKO Conor was campaigning for a doctor stoppage because I was looking at it and the round ended, and like you said, you didn't see him get up, so you thought like, okay, something bad happened here, and that's when we realized like, okay, his ankle like broke and he couldn't continue. So I think that should have been a doctor stoppage, but with UFC's rules and whatever, they ruled it as a TKO. So yeah, that happened.
I know that's McGregor's gonna be real upset with that.
Yeah, and he said when Rogan was interviewing him, he said this isn't over. If he has to take it outside, he will.
Yeah, and you see,
I mean.
I I like McGregor, but sometimes he just does some outlandish stuff that I just don't agree with, and that is one of the things I just don't agree with. Because everybody's kind of like yeah, you lost. It's unfortunate way to lose. You might get a rematch, but like just going after him and hounding him down like that, I don't think that was the right move to make after what just happened. Personally,
I agree, but. And I'm not even trying to encourage him in doing this or encourage anybody to do this, whatever. But I don't know if you caught what Dustin did after the fight. And to be fair, Conor did say a lot of messed up things. Talks about his wife, his charity, and all of that.
Wait, what did Dustin do after the fight?
He walked over to Conor during the Billy Struts and
shucks.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he was kind of clowning him for like, oh, he was getting beat up. So why are you complaining?
Jeez.
It's a loss. Take who lost.
I didn't see all that.
Yeah, but that attitude of McGregor reminded me of the build up to the Khabib fight. Yeah. Where he just attacked us and like went after Khabib.
that's magic.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue. But I mean, right now, I think the best thing for Connor, um, maybe take a year off.
I mean, he has
And
no choice. He has to take a year off at this point.
yeah. Fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, take a year off and decide whether you really want to do this. Because I'll be real, I was expecting the Connor that showed up tonight. I was expecting a Connor of like 2015, 2016, where he absolutely, dismantled Jose Aldo, where he dismantled Eddie Alvarez, made them look like they not even supposed to be in an octagon with him.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting that Connor. I wasn't expecting a Connor to, get taken down so easily or get ground and pounded so easily, any of that. So I
Yeah.
think Connor needs to look in the mirror and ask himself if he really wants to be a fighter. Because if he does, let's be real, he's not strapped for cash, you know.
The heck? I
So,
don't know.
he needs to look in the mirror and ask if he really wants this, if he really wants to fight, if he really wants that title.
Mm-hmm.
And if his answer is no, then come back, do the Diaz trilogy, and retire.
Yeah, because I think no matter what, he has to fight at least one more time. Because to have his legacy that he built up over how many ever years, to have it end like this, it can't end like this. Not in this way. Not by something as unexpected as a leg break or something as unfortunate as a leg break. It's either you go out there and you go out swinging to get the win, fair enough. You go out there, you go out swinging to get knocked out and dropped, fair enough. But at least you have a definitive answer that you are the better man or he was the better man on the day. This, like you said, is very unsatisfying. It doesn't answer either of that question. A lot of people will say it's 1-1-1 between McGregor and Poirier. Some people say it's 2-1, but it's just a real unfortunate situation. And that's something I was gonna ask you too, is if McGregor should retire after this. But I think you answered kind of good that he has to really take this year off to reflect and say, all right, do I really want to do this? Is fighting still for me, or have I made it? I already cemented my legacy. I'm already a future Hall of Famer. I don't need this anymore. I have the money, the fame. I had it all. I can retire in peace now, knowing I did it all and I accomplished everything I wanted to do. And I became a world champion, which was his initial goal when he started fighting to be a world champion.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, he did an interview, I believe, with either Stephen A. Smith or Ariel Helwani, where he said, he has all those things that I just listed out. He has the championships, he has the wins, he has the money, he has everything. But fighting is part of who he is. So regardless, I think Conor will come back. Um, but I think he should really reevaluate himself and come back with a hunger, because this Conor that showed up tonight wasn't hungry. He wasn't hungry at all.
Yeah.
Like he went out there. I think he was trying to convince himself that he still has it, and I could kind of see that he still wants to win, but like in terms of how hungry he is for that win, I don't think he's that hungry for a win, if that makes sense. Like, I know that's kind of contradictory, but I mean, I think you could understand where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like, I just think Connor his career could have been so much better than what it is right now, because you think after UFC 205, after he becomes the champ, you think this is gonna be the beginning of something amazing, but it's been everything but amazing at this point. And it's just so sad to see that if he took some things a little more serious, if he came prepared the first time around or the second time around, his career could probably be on a whole different other trajectory right now. But he just came in unserious, unfocused at times, and you see what happened to him.
Yeah. Um, to add to what you just said,
Yeah.
I think I, I don't know how to word it properly, but like I think one of the best but worst things to happen to him was boxing Floyd Mayweather,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that fight, carried him to new heights, but it also took him away from the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So he was off for what, 2 years, and he came back and did like a halfway camp for Habib, And hot take, if Conor did a proper camp and actually focused for that, wasn't partying, wasn't doing what he did, I think he would have beat Khabib and he would have been on top from 2018. I know that's a really hot take, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, but that's not even the wildest take I've even heard, regarding that fight. Because I really think once Connor's like, I don't mean to sound like the meme, or focus karate stance McGregor could beat anybody, but I really do think he does have the potential to beat anybody. But I think he just has this kind of mentality where oh, I'm Conor McGregor, I knocked out everybody,
Yeah.
I have the potential to knock out. I'm fast, I'm quick, I have heavy hands, and I can time really good. So I could just go in there and knock anybody else. He can't go into fights with that mentality anymore. He has to game plan. He has to strategize for it. Because, okay, you got outclassed in wrestling by Khabib. Yeah, okay, that happened. So what you're going to do now, you're going to go to a few wrestling camps. You're going to up your wrestling. You're going to learn the takedown defense. You're going to stuff those takedowns. And you're going to evolve as a fighter. Like, for a good example of this is Israel Adesanya, the current middleweight champion. When he went up to fight Jan Blachowicz, I think he did good in the stand up, but he lost because Jan kept getting the takedowns and controlling him on the ground. And I really think in that fight, I don't mean to stray too far from the McGregor topic, but I think Adesanya was winning that fight until the last half of the last round, where Jan got the takedown and just controlled him for the last 2 minutes and a half of that round. But what did Izzy do? He did a bunch of wrestling camps, and when he came back in his return against Marvin Vettori last month, Vettori is a good wrestler, and Izzy showed incredible takedown defense. He stopped a lot of the takedowns Marvin got. I think Marvin only got one or two takedowns out of I don't know, 7, 8, 9 attempted. And there was a point where Izzy kind of got, he looked like he was going to get trapped in a rear naked choke, and then he just did this crazy explosion and was in full guard. And he said he looked Marvin in the eyes and said he's scared now. So you see, that's somebody who learned from his mistakes, learned from his poor wrestling, did some good wrestling camps, and came back an incredible fighter. That's what McGregor should be doing, but he's not doing it, and it's just so frustrating because we know he has the potential to do it, but he just doesn't. He just chooses not to do it.
He has Dylan Danis on his team.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he's a whole other case by himself, dog. Was he in his corner for this fight?
Huh?
Was Dylan Danis in his corner for this fight?
I don't think so, but Dylan Danis is his jiu-jitsu coach, so Dylan Danis should be working on ground, on at least some aspects of his ground game.
He's clearly not doing a good job.
But there is also a big difference between jiu-jitsu and wrestling, which Dustin is a wrestler, not really. Actually, I think Dustin might have a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something. I'm not really sure, but with regards to what you just said, do you think it's just Conor just buys into his own hype and still thinks it's 2016?
Yes.
Where
yes.
he's on the road?
Yes, I genuinely do think so. Because, to be honest, when he came back and he fought Cowboy at the start of last year, and he came in, real respectful, real humble, he wasn't, trash talking like he normally is, I was like, okay, you know what? Khabib got him. Khabib actually humbled him. And Conor looked like he's come back a more mature guy, a better fighter, and he's going to really make this charge now. He got the great knockout against Cowboy, but let's be real, Cowboy beating Cowboy right now isn't really a big accomplishment. It's kind of like a gift Dana White gave him, an easy fight, to try and make his way back into the title contention. I know some things out of his control happened, the pandemic and the stuff with Khabib, but Conor could only control what's in front of Conor, and what was in front of Conor was beating Dustin Poirier and making a challenge for the lightweight title, because at that point, it had the kind of weird limbo period where we didn't know if Khabib was actually going to retire, if he was going to come back, or what and what. But still, if Conor made that huge rally, made that huge push, and he actually got the win against Dustin in January, he could have been in the lightweight title against either Michael Chandler or Charles Oliveira, and he probably does beat both of them, given he's locked in. But we unfortunately living in the Conor McGregor breaks his leg timeline, which I don't want to be a part of. And that's just how things played out.
Honestly, with what you said, I agree, but I also disagree on a couple of points where like yes, the cowboy fight is a gift, but I also look at it like this, right? When he came back and he fought Habib in 2018,
Yeah.
that he was off for what, like a year and a half, maybe it's almost 2 years. I don't think
Yeah, probably like a year and a
Khabib
half.
should have been his first fight at all.
Yeah, but that's
I
the thing.
was protesting that, when I first heard about this. And he came, he lost, whatever. He had another year and something off. So what I would have done if I were the top brass in the UFC, I would have given him Cowboy. I would have given him who else he asked for last year? He asked for, oh god, this guy, the guy who Joshua
Justin?
Fabian manages. No, uh, oh my god, why can't I remember this guy? I don't remember him just now, but he asked for another guy,
What was the name of his
and I
manager?
believe uh, oh my god, can't remember his name.
Yeah, well, I shall come
But
to
yeah,
him.
yeah, it comes in. But uh, yeah, he asked for this other guy, and then he asked for, I believe, Dos Anjos,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe those three fights would have been like a tune-up fight. He would have been back. Oh, Diego Sanchez. He asked for Cowboy, Diego Sanchez, and he asked for somebody else. I believe it was Gaethje,
Mm-hmm.
and Dana White told him no. And the reason he told them no was because they wouldn't have been able to make any money off of the gate, the live gate, and yeah, that's a big part of the UFC's um, revenue, because they make around 20-30 million dollars from that live gate alone.
Mm-hmm.
So White not gonna want to miss out on $30 million. But like at
Yeah.
the same time, you need to also weigh your options. Like you have your biggest cash cow in Conor McGregor,
Mm-hmm.
and if he ends up back on top, you know how much revenue he's gonna put into that company.
Exactly.
So I think like the top brass in the UFC should have also looked at that and been like, okay, let's give him these fights.
Sort of build him
Yes,
up.
it might not do 2 million pay-per-view buys. It might do one at least. It might do 1.3. But let's give him these fights. Let him get back into the octagon. Let him
Build back
feel
up
that
his hype.
pressure. Let him focus. Let him be laser focused on what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And he could have come back in January for Dustin. And I think if things went along that way that I just told you, like Conor would have beaten Dustin in that second fight, and we would not even be here right now. What we'd be talking about right now would have been Oliveira versus McGregor.
Yeah, well, that's a good timeline. That's the Oliveira versus McGregor timeline. But we stuck in this terrible timeline where he breaks his leg. But it's just so unfortunate to see, because I feel like every legendary UFC fighter goes through this, because the same thing happened to Anderson Silva. Conor McGregor did mention when he was having his interview on the ground, he said he just stepped on his foot like Anderson Silva did back whenever. And this isn't even the first leg breaking a UFC pay per view we've seen in this year, because if you remember, Chris Weidman broke his leg against I can't even remember who it was. I think it was some Jamaican guy in that was
Uriah
the
Hall.
yeah, Uriah Hall, and that was in the Usman versus Masvidal 2 on the card. So it's kind of weird to see two like breaks like that in the same year, because you would imagine something rare, but it's happened more often now than you'd imagine.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think that like break just soured a lot of people. Like we said earlier, we still don't have an answer as to what's next for Connor or what's next for Dustin. I mean,
Yeah,
like
because
yeah, we said okay, come back and fight, but I mean, it didn't really give us an answer as to who's the better man between either fighter.
yeah, because
And
we recording this
yeah,
before the press conference, so we don't even know what Dana White and them are saying, because I don't know what you'd even say to that when the biggest star in your company goes down in that manner. So
mhm.
I don't know. Dana White has his work cut out for him, but
I was gonna ask something. You think a lot of fights, not a lot of fighters, a lot of fans gonna come with this talk about McGregor is washed up now?
um, I would see people coming with that talk, to be honest, because like you said, there was some points where McGregor didn't look good, and if you had to score that round, a lot of people would score it for Poirier to win it. I probably would have scored it
Mhm.
for as a Poirier win to a 10-9 Poirier. So people
Yeah.
would even say, okay, yeah, he broke his leg, but if he came out showing us something and he really dominated that first round, people would say, yeah, he still has it. But I could see people saying, he's washed up, he's past it because of how bad of a first round he did have. Excuse me. Yeah, but I think people would say he's washed up. I really can't say for sure if he's washed up yet. It just depends on how his recovery goes. But he's got the money to ensure that he has a proper full recovery. Footballers and stuff, there have been several footballers that have broken their legs completely, but they will have the money to have the top um, rehab guys to help them get through that period, and they bounce back stronger. So Conor McGregor
Yeah.
definitely does have that money to get the best people in the world to help him recover. So I think again, if he makes up his mind that he does want to fight and be champion again, and he does get the proper money behind it to see the proper um, rehab pros, and his rehab goes well, I could see him coming back and still having it. But it all depends on his rehab process and if he still wants it.
You know, I was looking at, like I said, I was looking at the lightweight rankings, and who's Conor gonna fight if he does come back? Like, yes, he has the
Tony
Nate
Ferguson.
trilogy, and huh?
Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
That'd be
Ferguson not three fights kid.
it'd just be a terrible fight though, because it's two fighters I love, and one of them are gonna get knocked out, and I'm just gonna be sad for whoever it's gonna be.
Um, yeah, but I mean, he has the Nate trilogy, but like, the kind of like look at what Nate Diaz pulled against Leon Edwards in that fight.
Yeah, like see, Nate showed us he still has it in him, even though he left it super super late. Nate showed us that he still does have it.
Yeah, and the thing about Conor is, if Conor doesn't get Nate out in 2 rounds, like I would favor that. I would favor Nate because look at what happens with, like I said, with the Leon fights. He Nate never stopped pressing forward. Nate kept throwing shots. He kept eating shots, and he
Typical Nate
like
Diaz.
really if it had 2 minutes left in that round, in that final round,
1 minute left.
he would have won.
Even if
Sorry?
even if that fight had 1 minute left, Leon Edwards is getting dropped.
So, like we said, Conor needs to reevaluate himself, his priorities, because he has all the resources available to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needs to be focused and come back, because if he's not focused, he's gonna get dropped by, honestly, any of the top 4 lightweights. I think.
This kind of also arises this question: is it time that he kind of changes up his coaching staff and his coaching team? Because yes, Coach Kavanagh and those guys have gotten him this far in his career, but I mean, he hasn't looked as good as he was in the past. So is it a kind of thing where he probably needs a coach? Like, I don't know how his gym session, his camps run, but is he kind of run his own show? Has Coach Kavanagh lost that kind of fatherly kind of figure, that mature figure McGregor had in his life that will discipline him and keep him on the right track? Has Coach Kavanagh lost that from McGregor, and does McGregor need somebody new to step in and be that kind of way with him, that kind of assertive, strict kind of person with him?
I don't want to say he does need it, because I think John Kavanagh does an amazing job with his camps, but I also think back to 205's press conference where Conor criticized Eddie Alvarez for switching camps, and it's like he's been with the same people since day one, and loyalty is something that runs deep with Conor. So I don't see Conor switching his team or his coaching staff or whatever. But like I don't even think it's an issue with them, because John Kavanagh said on Joe Rogan's podcast that for the Khabib fight, Conor would show up when he wants, and he would call, whatever time of the night, and be like, okay, I'm ready for camp now. And they would have to rush, and
can't do that.
come on. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think he has that control over Conor anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say control, but he doesn't have, Conor doesn't have that discipline to, show up to camp on time.
Would you say it's like a lack of respect? Would you say it's like a lack of respect? Would you say Conor has kind of like a lack of respect for Coach Kavanagh now, because he's doing stuff like that?
Honestly, no, because like if you look at Connor's Instagram, I think Connor's Instagram speaks for itself where he's been and what he's been doing. You know,
Yeah.
he's constantly on yachts, sailing all over the world, constantly in Dubai, or like like I mean, yes, we don't know his full daily routine. He could probably be training every single day, but it's either he isn't training every single day, like he should be training, or he
Yeah.
doesn't have that fire in him that that got him to be in that that got him at that champ status back
I
in 2016.
I just don't think he has to drive anymore. I think he just wanted to be the champion, but like that was it. He kind of set his heart to be okay. I'm gonna be the world champion, and he kind of got there, and he was like, oh, I what now? I kind of want to do something else, and that's why he ended up going to fight the box Floyd Mayweather, and that's kind of where everything kind of got derailed for him. So I think if he had his
Yeah,
priorities straight and he wanted to cement his legacy in the UFC proper, I mean, I say that his legacy already is cemented, but you know what I mean? Like really kind of assert himself as the greatest fighter of all time. He could have easily been that, but he just that's not what he wanted. He wanted to always do bigger, better stuff, and it kind of came around to bite him. And well, coming around to bite him is something that I wanted to talk about earlier, but I kind of forgot. Um, in Dustin's in cage in Octagon interview after the fight, he said, it's kind of like karma coming around because all the wild stuff McGregor's be saying, it could be I mean it could be Dustin kind of said, it's karma, it just caught back up with him. So I mean he kind of does have a kind of fair point there, I must admit, because Connor does talk a lot of crap, and
yeah.
it like Dustin said, it's karma coming around to bite you. Um, so yeah, that's kind of that's
So with regards to what Dustin said, right?
yeah.
Um, this is where I would disagree, but like it's not because I'm this huge Connor fanboy or anything like that. But if you look at every issue that UFC fighters have with UFC, it's pay, right? It's fighter pay,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a reason Connor does so much pay-per-view buys. There's a reason his fights, there's a reason he makes like millions for his fights compared to other fighters who just get like what a few 100,000 for whenever they defend a title, and like you rather said defend a title. So like top guys getting that kind of money. There's people who could draw the casual fans in that make the big money.
Yeah.
And I think Connor's trash talk is just part of the business. Like if you really want to make money, then
You have to set
that's where you
yourself
need
up.
to.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta set yourself up, and that's what Connor did so brilliantly when he first broke out into the UFC. He would talk all his smack. He would get into everybody's head, get under their skins, and that would make them crack. You saw that perfectly with the Jose Aldo fight, with the first Dustin Poirier fight. Just has a way of getting into their head and getting under his skin the way nobody can, and that's really why a lot of people were drawn to him because of that, trash talking way. But alas. But could you see a possibility if when Conor returns, he probably switches a weight class? Does he drop back down to featherweight? Does he go up to welterweight, or does he stick at lightweight? And is that where he would preferably be if he does return?
um, Connor should come back at lightweight. I think cutting to featherweight, I don't think that's a good idea. Like I'll be honest, my honest opinion is he beats everyone in the top 10 featherweight, including Max Holloway.
Jeez.
Um, yeah, way better boxer than Holloway. Uh, I think he should stick at lightweight because the guys in welterweight are like the top guys right now are Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Leon Edwards. Right, that's the top three, and obviously champion is Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
Those guys are so much bigger than him. They would
Yeah, jeez.
dog him in that fight.
Yeah.
Like, and if you look at the people that they wanted to match him up with in at welterweight, it's Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, and those two fighters are former lightweights. So it's kind of like when he went up to welterweight and he fought Nate Diaz the first time when he fought Cowboy. all of those fighters are former lightweight, so it's kind of like fighting at lightweight, but not really fighting at lightweight, if that makes sense.
Just kind of like fighting on bigger lightweights, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if he's fighting Kamaru Usman,
Kamaru Usman's
Usman
big.
in that cage,
He's
Usman is at
huge.
least 190.
Yeah, that's huge. Usman's closer to middleweight than he is to lightweight.
So I think Conor should stick to being at lightweight, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see what will happen now, because I can't imagine the fans being satisfied with what happened.
Yeah, I don't think
I can't
anybody
imagine
is.
Dana White being satisfied with what happened. I can't imagine Conor being satisfied with what happened. Dustin is satisfied with what happened because of all the trash show that Conor did in that press conference and whatever.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want to give Conor the rematch. It's kind of like the same mentality as Habib.
I mean, I
But
wouldn't blame Dustin
you
if he didn't take the fourth fight if it does roll around, because Dustin kind of Dustin said he did outclass him in the first round. In the post fight interview, he did say he felt when he felt when the foot fractured when he checked a leg kick, and so in Dustin said he kind of did what he had to do to win, but I don't think Conor will get the fourth fight just because Dustin won't give it to him, and it'll be kind of unfortunate if that's how things do end up playing out. But I think ultimately that's what will happen, and it'll just be one of those fights that go away from McGregor, same way like it was with the Khabib fight, same way like it was with the second fight with Poirier. It's just one of those fights that got away from him.
So let's say he comes back and he fights Poirier, somehow manages to pull out a win.
Somehow.
They're really gonna do that a fifth time?
I was just thinking that, because if Conor does win, technically it'll be 2-2 all.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he could drag out 5 fights between the two same guys. I don't think it could. But
I think it could even drag out the fourth.
Yeah, but I know Conor wants this fourth fight. You heard him in the interview with Joe Rogan in the ring, but I just think that's just tempers flaring, emotions boiling over, because he works so hard in training camp, he busts his tail off for however long it is. I know this loss has been stinging McGregor since all the way at the start of the year in January. So to have it all come crumbling apart like that, that's why he was kind of upset about it. But I think he will, as soon as he does recover, he will come back to Dana and says, Dana, I won this fight with Dustin. He didn't really technically beat me, and he'll say all that. And Dana White might crack and give in, but it's all if Dustin will accept the fight as well, because he can't just have one guy accepting the fight.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing that plays a role in that is if Dustin has the title. Because if Dustin has the title by the time Conor returns, every other lightweight in gonna be like, okay, what Conor do in the last 4 years that gives him a title shot?
Yeah. So I can see that happening as well. But I think if Dustin does hold the belt, a fourth fight is guaranteed. Because I think McGregor will come. This is assuming Dustin has the belt. McGregor will come back. He'll fight one or two guys in the top contention for the title, whoever that might be at the time, whether it's Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, whoever it is in title contention at the moment. He'll fight at least two of those guys, and if he wins convincingly, I think he'll get the title shot with Dustin no matter what. And that's probably, and if Conor wins that's probably how you could probably drag a fifth fight out of it.
Honestly, I think what's the problem with those two names I just listed there?
Yeah, who's that?
Both of them have Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
Both of them have incredible wrestling. And yeah, I don't know how they're gonna deal with that, because unless Conor somehow improves his wrestling times 10 within the next year and a half, and comes back, I don't see that either of those fighters standing with him and trading. Michael Chandler might try, and he might feel a punch and be like, okay, no, this not gonna work. Let me take him down, ground and pound, kind of like Khabib. Not kind of like Khabib, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And then Justin Gaethje might also do the same thing.
Yeah.
But you never know. So I mean, there are still options. Oh wait, one other thing. Did you see uh, the issue with those annuals backstage at the Apex? I believe it was at the Apex.
No, but I heard there was some kind of thing there was some exchange with him and Connor backstage.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So maybe that could be Connor's recent fight.
probably. That's not a bad idea, you know.
Because we were of that fight in what 2015, 2016, somewhere
Yeah,
around
so
there
that could be a good
when
fight.
the Sunday started to pull out.
Yeah.
So
So it could be that could be
yeah,
his ticket back into the big time. But you're talking about how Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje were good wrestlers. I just pulled up the rankings, and the five guys above McGregor, they're all superb wrestlers. And you look, even Tony Ferguson, while he supposed to be a good wrestler, he hasn't really shown that in his last few fights.
yeah,
And all the other good guys in this ranking system for the lightweight, they're all good wrestlers. McGregor's the only bad wrestler in the top rankings, and we have seen wrestling become so much more how more important it is nowadays, because you have a guy like Kamaru Usman, who's a wrestler who's just absolute dominant champion. You have Francis Ngannou, who yeah, yes, he was out striking Miocic when they fought, but it was really his wrestling that ensured him the victory, because Miocic shot for a takedown and Kamaru stuffed it, and that was when everybody kind of realized, yeah, this is it for Miocic. Somebody like Jan Blowich as well. His wrestling was able to stop Israel Adesanya, and Israel Adesanya himself, he improved his wrestling, was able to hold off Marvin Vettori in their fight. I think you need, in this current day and age of the UFC, you need to have at least some high level wrestling to be a champion in this current UFC. You can't just be a straight striker and just be able to throw bombs and rely on that only. I don't think that's how the current UFC works right now. If you understand what I'm saying.
yeah. No. I agree. The thing is, Connor showed that he could defend takedowns and all of that, because he did stuff a good amount of takedowns against Habib, but like I don't know what it is, like why he just he got taken down so easily in the second fight with Poirier, and then in this fight he jumped for that guillotine, which was a huge mistake. Like why would you do that? Why not just keep the fight standing? Like he already, what's crazy? He made adjustments from the second fight, and then came and made new mistakes in the third fight. Like
Yeah,
that's so crazy, because he came, like, if you watch the second fight and compare it to the first fight, he came in with his boxing stance, right?
yeah.
Wasn't light on his feet, wasn't bouncing around, wasn't creating distance or anything like that.
As like just got
And he
chopped
came in
up.
with this boxing stance, got caught up in a clinch, he kept eating leg kicks, compromises his leg, and then got finished on the feet, right? And he got finished in I don't want to say in the clinch, but within boxing range.
Mm-hmm.
He came to this fight with the karate stance, creating distance with the spinning kicks, and then he got he got in he got in the clinch with uh Dustin and jumped for a guillotine. Why? Why would you do that? Just back out. Do what Israel Adesanya does and slide to one side and get out of
Total distance.
get out of like being against the cage, take center of the octagon, and continue throwing the kicks
And
and
control the
fight
strike.
like that.
Yeah, control the striking department.
Yeah.
Because if you keep tagging a guy's lead leg, he's not gonna want to shoot for the takedown, because you kind of have to pivot some amount of weight on the front foot if you're gonna shoot for a takedown, and if you compromise a guy's lead leg, you won't be able to do that.
And then he also needs, and while if you remember, he started training leg kicks at Poirier too. So if
Exactly.
Poirier was gonna shoot for a takedown, he also needs to keep in mind, I could eat a kick going down, and it would be a legal kick because his hands would be touching the ground by the time he ate that kick.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that he made the correct adjustments to deal with the mistakes that he made in the second fight, but ended up making new mistakes in the third fight, which I don't understand how that works at all. But
Well, this
you know,
is one of the very rare instances where event leaves the fate of the, well, I won't say the fate of the entire UFC, but the fate of the UFC's biggest star in a
mhm.
limbo kind of unknown, uncertain kind of area where nobody know what's gonna happen next with McGregor. It's just one of the very devastating things. It's kind of like exactly what happened to Anderson Silva, who at the time was the biggest star, and he never really was the same after that. I hope that's not what's gonna happen with McGregor, and I hope he does come back, and I hope he does really rally for championship run again.
You know what I wanted to ask you before? When you mentioned it,
What's that?
do you think that well, Dustin claims he checked a leg kick and he fractured Connor's ankle and whatever, which I don't think is true.
Yeah, well,
But
I
do you
could.
think that Dustin fractured his leg?
You see, I don't know because I really have to rewatch the entire fight and to see really if he did check a kick because off the top of my head, I don't remember him checking any leg kicks because I feel like McGregor was putting weight on that left leg up until really it got fractured. So I wouldn't say that he just he did fracture it early on and McGregor was just kind of limping on a fractured leg for like the rest of the fight. I don't think that's what happened, but he does claim so. I'll have to rewatch the tape and think and see if he actually did. But I just think like you said, it's just so unfortunate kind of coming together the leg, um, and he just kind of landed on a bad angle and he like kind of squashed under his weight and that's kind of what happened. And I want to believe that Dustin threw a punch at the same time, so that kind of entire sequence just kind of it's just a series of unfortunate events really.
You know they both missed those punches.
Yeah, that's what I said. It looked really cool because like they both threw the same punches and slipped it the exact same way. So like it looks kind of cool as it happened, but
You know what that
yeah,
reminded me of? You remember that fight? I believe it was in like the prelims or maybe the main card of the Usman fight, where the guy got tagged and he just had like a delayed reaction
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like a
yeah,
delayed.
yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about. It was the Brazilian guy who did that. I forgot his name, but I have the video. If I remember, I'll throw it up on the screen. But
mhm.
he got tagged with like a serious 1-2, and he just like stayed standing and bouncing on his feet. And then like five
Yeah,
seconds later, you just see him, his like eyes roll back, and he just start walking backwards, and he just hits the fence, collapses, and just loses the fight. Though it's mad.
yeah. That's kind of what I thought went on at first, because like I watched Connor and Connor's face was just in pain, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, did Dustin connect? And then he just went back and sat against the cage, and Dustin ran in, and I was like, oh God, please tell me this fight isn't gonna end like this. And obviously we saw what happened with the leg, but I mean that kind of reminded me of that fight, and I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Um, well, I think
But
we said all we kind of really had to say about the McGregor fight. If you had any other points you want to add, then you could go ahead and talk about it now.
I think the only thing that I really have to say about McGregor and Dustin is I would really like to see it again. I would like to see them fight again. Like the chances of it happening
Slim to
might be
none.
slim to none.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I, I don't think Conor gonna let his legacy die like this. I don't think he's gonna go out with a loss. I think he still has some fun fights left. I believe this. This could be that switch that
Yeah, really lights a fire
remotivates him. I
under
guess you
him.
could say.
Yeah, it could. That's the thing. It all depends how he responds to this and how his recovery
Hmm.
goes. We can't really say it if he's probably finished or if he's gonna come back. The only person who's gonna know if McGregor's finished or if is gonna come back is McGregor himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think we kind of wrap up there. We've been going on for almost an hour now. Hopefully, people listen all the way through.
yeah.
um, yeah, but yeah, that's been it for us. It's such a shitty thing to happen that our first show up has to be us covering this depressing ass topic. But
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully the next time we do have a show, UFC 265, that is Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we'll be back for then. We might even cover some fight nights and stuff because I believe Is it Kazmat Shemaev is fighting next week Saturday? We might cover that.
It's what's his name? Islam Makhachev.
Oh, it's Islam
Yeah,
actually.
he's fighting someone.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yeah, he's fighting somebody next week. Depending on how it goes, we might cover it. But for sure, we'll be back for UFC 265. Um, yeah, it's just such a sad way to go. But that's been it from us here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, there's me sign off. Yeah, any final words for them, Rajiv?
Honestly, I just look forward to doing another breakdown, another analysis of a UFC card, pay-per-view, whatever it might be, and see where it goes.
Yeah. By the way, don't forget to follow the Instagram page. What's the Instagram page again?
Yours?
No. Yours. Counterstrike.mma. Yes. I probably should have had that pulled up, but yes, Counterstrike.mma. Go follow the page. I'm sure you're gonna have great content coming for them soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, guys, that's been it. I've said Shivs, RG from Counter Strike MMA. Laters.
Yeah. Peace.